If you were to sort of step back as a geneticist, biological designer, or maybe a computer scientist, computer engineer trying to build human 2.0, or maybe a robot, how would you improve the penis and the vagina?
Well, the penis for starters. I mean, let's also discuss the testicles. They're very important too.
Okay, so they're yes,
Right.
right.
So they're fragile and they're important, and yet they're hanging off the body in danger, basically. So, does that make sense? They begin in the womb. They begin inside the abdomen, and they slowly descend, and sometimes before birth, sometimes in the first year of life, sometimes never. They pop out of the body and end up hanging in the scrotum. There's a reason, because the chemical reactions that create sperm function best at a few degrees cooler than body temperature. And so that's why you might notice in the warm weather, they might hang further down. And in the cold weather, they scrunch themselves up to get closer to the body to maintain that ideal temperature, a few degrees cooler. So it's hard, if you could create a sperm production mechanism that did not rely on that lower temperature, that would be great. Keep them inside the body protected like the ovaries are.
But then you wouldn't rely on the lower temperature. I thought you meant create some kind of weird internal cooling mechanism.
No, well, I guess that would be one solution, but just maybe a different type of chemical reaction, or would not be reliant on the lower temperature. Let's say, it would be great to design a spermatogenesis or sperm production process that would function best at body temperature, and then we can keep those delicate organs inside the body and not have them hanging out in danger.
Or maybe the argument for this design is maybe it's nice to put them in danger, so you are constantly concerned about it.
Could be. Maybe that's beneficial for male psychology. I'm not really sure.
There's a psychological element here about the evolution that could be. So that's the testicles. Penis?
A better way to do it, I mean, it's pretty good as it is. It kind of, when it's time for it to work, it grows and stiffens. And when it's time for it not to work, it kind of shrinks and hangs out.
I saw this on a Seinfeld episode, so I know how it works.
Shrinkage.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But that's also a bit unique, I suppose. That the way it has this erectile tissue. Actually, they're similar in the mouth of certain baleen whales. There's a certain similar kind of erectile tissue that helps cool them off because they have so much blubber and creates so much heat in moving around and feeding, that they have actually a similar to the penis organ in their mouth that helps cool their bodies, because it's a big problem. They have to store all that blubber for fuel, but it makes them too hot. So as a compensation, they have this kind of erectile organ in their mouth.
Okay. What about vagina?
The fact that miscarriages sometimes happen because of sexually transmitted diseases, because of trauma. It'd be great if the uterus, where the growing fetus is sort of even more protected from those things. I guess that's a side effect of the fact that people still have sex when they're pregnant, are still, exposed to injury. If there was a way to make it more protected, perhaps that would be even better. I did see an article recently about artificial wombs, which are rapidly becoming a reality. And in animal studies, they're able to prolong the gestation of a fetus by a month in an artificial womb.
Can you explain the artificial aspect of the artificial womb?
Sure. It's I believe it acts almost like a heart-lung bypass machine. So when someone's getting like bypass surgery, their heart is stopped. Literally, they throw ice in the chest and they give a potassium infusion through the blood, which stops the heart. But the blood is run through a machine that basically does the work of the heart and lungs together, gets oxygen into the blood, and then pushes it back into the body. So I believe it's a sort of similar mechanism to keep blood and nutrition flowing to this fetus. And so it's just not inside the body of a parent. It's in some kind of other device. But I think that science is going to rapidly improve. One benefit is, babies are born premature, and while, neonatology is able to continuously kind of lower the age of viability through better technology and understanding medicines and other things you can do to premature babies when they're born. Ideally, if, let's say, premature labor begins, you can't stop it. that baby's coming out one way or the other. If you could just then stick it into an artificial womb where it can continue its development, that would save a whole host of problems. Often those babies born very early suffer from damage to various organs, including the brain, for the rest of their life. So that could be a very important technology.
So some aspects of the human body, we can develop technologies that outsource them, sort of offload some of the stress and the workload from the human body to do it elsewhere.
Like dialysis does that for kidneys. People can live decades without kidneys as long as they get dialysis, which does the work for them. Not every organ can do that. For instance, the liver, there's no dialysis version for the liver. Like if your liver fails, you need a liver transplant, and that's the only thing that's going to do it for you.
So that's the world's first artificial womb for humans. And we're looking at a picture of what looks like gigantic balloons.
Matrix, here we come.
This is very matrixy. How are they floating? What are we even looking at? There's giant red spheres. This really looks like the Matrix. I wonder where it's from. So there seems to be a paper on this too.
I don't know too much about it, but I did see that it's advancing very rapidly.
The world's first artificial womb for humans. Scientists in the Netherlands say they're within 10 years of developing an artificial womb that could save the lives of premature babies. Premature birth before 37 weeks is globally the biggest cause of death among newborns, but the development also raises ethical questions about the future of baby making and so on and so forth. Wow. We're going to be facing a lot of ethical questions as we start to mess with human biology in an effort to help human biology. We might start to mess with it.